All right, let's crack open a real cosmic cold case. For most of our lives, we learned that our solar system had 9 planets, right? It was this simple, stable fact. But then, poof, one of them just kinda vanished from the list. So today, we're gonna put on our detective hats and figure out what really happened to Pluto. So here's the central mystery. For 76 years, Pluto was a full-fledged member of the Planetary Club. It was in all the textbooks, all the museum models, everything. Then, in 2006, the top astronomers in the world basically decided to demote it. So what gives? What new evidence could possibly have come to light that made science completely rethink its own rules?
You know, the funny thing is, the beginning of the end for Pluto, it didn't really start with Pluto itself. It started with what we began finding around Pluto. Turns out, its little corner of the solar system wasn't nearly as empty as we thought. It was getting, well, crowded. And that was the first big clue that our old definitions just weren't going to cut it anymore.
To really get what's going on, you gotta picture where Pluto lives. Way, way out there, past Neptune, there's this gigantic, icy junkyard called the Kuiper Belt. It's filled with leftover bits and pieces from when our solar system was born. Pluto hangs out there, and as we were about to find out, it has a lot of neighbors. And right here, this is basically the smoking gun. In 2005, astronomers spotted something new out in the darkness, something big. Its name was Eris. And as this textbook quote says, its discovery is what lit the fuse. Eris completely changed the game. Okay, so what is this Eris thing? Well, it's another big icy world found way out in the boonies of the solar system. And here was the kicker. At first, scientists thought it was pretty much the same size as Pluto, maybe even a little bigger. And that created a massive headache. This put astronomers in a really tight spot. I mean, think about it. If Pluto is a planet, then doesn't Eris have to be one too? So do we have 10 planets now? And what happens when we find another object like it in another? Are we going to have 20 planets, 30? Suddenly they realized the problem wasn't Pluto. The problem was that they didn't have a good definition for the word planet. So, to sort out this mess, the scientific community had to step in. The International Astronomical Union, or IAU, decided it was time to lay down the law. In 2006, they created a clear 3-point checklist. From now on, to be a planet, you had to pass all 3 tests. No exceptions. So here are the 3 big rules. Number 1, it has to orbit the sun, not something else. Makes sense. Number 2, it has to be big enough for its own gravity to pull it into a round or nearly round shape. And number 3, this is the important one, it has to have cleared its neighborhood. All right, so the rules are set. Now for the main event. It was time to put Pluto on trial. Does our beloved former 9th planet actually make the cut? Let's see. First up, rule number 1, does it orbit the sun? Yup, absolutely. Takes it about 248 Earth years to do it, but it gets it done. So that's an easy check mark. 1 down, 2 to go. All right, rule 2, is it round? Another big yes. Pluto's got enough mass and gravity to pull itself into a nice spherical shape. That's what separates it from, lumpy-looking asteroids. So far, so good for Pluto. 2 for 2. But here it is, the big one, the make or break question. That 3rd rule. Has Pluto cleared the neighborhood around its orbit? Everything, and I mean everything, came down to this. And the answer is a big fat no. This right here, this is the rule that changed everything for Pluto. It aced the first 2 tests, but on this final crucial point, it fails. So what in the world does clearing the neighborhood even mean? Well, think of it like this. A real planet has to be the gravitational bully of its own orbital path. It has to be so massive that it has either sucked up, kicked out, or captured anything else that gets in its way. It's got to be the undisputed king of its orbital zone. So, is Pluto the king of its orbit? Not even a little bit. In fact, Pluto's own mass is just a tiny sliver, only about 7% of all the other stuff floating around in its orbit. It's not clearing its neighborhood. It's just one body among many in a very crowded neighborhood. Now, just to put that into perspective, let's look at Earth. Our planet is the undisputed champ of its orbit. Our mass is more than 1,000,000 times bigger than all the other junk in our orbital path combined. Now that's gravitational dominance. That's what it takes to be a planet. But hey, don't feel too bad for Pluto. This isn't really a story about getting fired. It's more like getting a promotion to be the founding member of a super cool new club. This was about making our map of the solar system way more accurate. So the new category is dwarf planet, and if you look at the definition, it's like it was written for Pluto. Does it orbit the sun? Check. Is it round? Check. Has it not cleared its orbit? Big check. And is it a moon? Nope. Check. It fits the description to a T.
And you know what? Pluto's in some pretty awesome company. It's not alone in the Dwarf Planet Club. There's Eris, the object that kicked this whole thing off. There's another one called Haumea. And there's even Ceres, which is way closer to us, hanging out in the asteroid belt.
And really, that's the whole point of this story. Pluto didn't change overnight. We did. Our understanding got better, more detailed. Science isn't about having a bunch of facts that never ever change. It's about always being willing to update the playbook when you get new information. The Pluto story is just science working exactly as it should.
So that leaves us with this really cool thought, right? This whole reclassification happened because our technology, our telescopes, got good enough to see the outer solar system in a whole new way. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? As our tools get even more powerful, what else are we going to find out there? What new mysteries are just waiting for us that will, once again, force us to redraw the maps of our own universe?